Good afternoon. I am delighted to be with all of you today at the Michigan Listen and Learn Symposium. My name is Tonja Rucker, and I direct the Early Childhood Success Portfolio at the National League of Cities. We at the National League of Cities are so proud and excited to be providing remarks at this convening and sharing our story with you. I am grateful for this opportunity to share how cities are supporting and investing in early learning systems across the nation. The National League of Cities is the oldest and largest national organization representing municipal governments throughout the United States. Currently partnering with 49 state municipal leagues, NLC advocates for cities and towns, strengthens leadership skills, and provides networking for member cities. Launched in 2000, the Institute for Youth Education and Families recognized the unique and influential roles that mayors, city council members, and other local leaders can play in addressing early childhood, education, after school, family economic success, violence prevention, disconnected youth, and childhood health and well-being. More than 200 million people across the United States lives in a city, town, or village. Cities, towns, and villages are more than a name on a mailing address. They have the power to develop deeply meaningful feelings of belonging and pride for their residents. As many of you know, this country is feeling increasingly divided and polarized. Many leaders are not looking to bring folks together. The partnerships between levels of government are eroding, and cities are increasingly on their own to find innovative solutions to the everyday problems young children and families are facing in their daily lives. People look to communities for solution and to feel a sense of connectedness and belonging. The emotional bonds people create within their communities have a powerful impact on economic prosperity and livability. It is no secret that NLC believes that cities are the primary centers of innovation and leadership in our country. We believe that because we see it in action every day, especially through our work with cities as we work with elected officials on city policy and practice that supports young children. Mayors, council members, city managers, and senior city staff serve as strong advocates for moving and improving local education and human service agendas by using their convening power and the bully pulpit. City leadership is about agenda setting, coordinating, and influencing the actions of others. Mayors and other municipal leaders can serve as catalysts for the early care and education agenda by challenging leaders to improve systems and collaborating with them on community-wide efforts. Many officials are partnering with business leaders, school officials, higher education leaders, and other community stakeholders to ensure a more seamless pipeline that addresses a range of academic, behavioral, health, and family issues that serve young children more effectively. City leaders have a stake in how well children in their cities are doing. Investing early will mean better academic outcomes, less crime, better health outcomes, a more prepared workforce, increased earning, and less spending on social services long-term. When our children thrive, our cities thrive. But let's take a moment to assess where we are in this moment in time. These are unprecedented times as communities continue to be hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic. And now many of our cities, towns, and villages face challenges in critical conversations around racial equity, public safety, and policing. Across the nation, Americans are looking to government for stability and solutions that include coordination between all levels of government. Local government will play a key role in ensuring that we can recover from these challenges in ways that is equitable and prioritizes the needs of children and families. Let's talk a bit about early childhood systems building in communities across our country. One of the many lessons emerging from NLC's work is that individual programs to meet the specific needs of children and families are essential, but not sufficient to drive sustainable and scalable progress. To drive lasting change, municipal leaders must join with community partners to build effective and equitable systems. For example, in the same town or urban neighborhood, an after-school and summer meals program may reduce childhood hunger, and a separate initiative on healthy eating and active living may combat childhood obesity. Both offer beneficial ways to mitigate real problems faced by children and their families in that community. But childhood hunger and obesity are symptoms of deeper systemic problems such as food deserts or lack of transportation that makes it more difficult for residents to access healthy, affordable food and maintain healthy lifestyles. To use a medical metaphor, programmatic solutions can often staunch the bleeding, but it takes strong systems to heal the wound or prevent the illness in the first place. Strong municipalities already use effective systems to deliver many types of services their residents and businesses need and expect. Investments in these systems is widely accepted as necessary to help local economies and people thrive. Such systems typically augment public services with private and community-based resources to maximize the impact of public dollars and the effectiveness of municipal services. People understand that investments in these systems is necessary for the community and its people to thrive. An effective city transportation system utilizes streets, highways, public and privately owned parking facilities, buses, subways, taxis, and even Uber and Lyft in urban communities to move people from one place to another. When any one part of the system breaks down, people notice and demand improvement. Similarly, public safety systems braid together police and fire services, state-level emergency response teams, federal disaster response resources, and public education and communications to ensure that everyone knows what to do in an emergency. All are needed to help keep local residents and businesses safe. In both of these examples, the largest system is itself made up of systems: public transit, bike lanes, paths, sidewalks, streets, etc. Municipal leaders pay attention both to the macro system and to those more targeted systems in order to provide the kind of services constituents demand and respect. The challenge is that cities and towns typically have not built comparable systems to meet the needs of young children and families. Instead, they often rely on a patchwork of disparate programs and services, a mix of public and private or nonprofit efforts without coordination or direction. Municipal leaders increasingly are realizing the need to knit together their disparate programs and services into a more comprehensive system that responds to the needs of children and families. In too many communities, it's only through a systems lens that municipal officials can see the service gaps and duplications, barriers to access, inequitable delivery, and inconsistent quality that leaves some children and families without the supports they need to thrive. Too often, these inconsistencies reflect historic disparities based on race, income, and neighborhood. Whether it is early childhood education, juvenile justice, or financial inclusion, effective and equitable systems for children and families can bring together various providers and programs in ways that yield better, longer lasting results. As a result, as in a system like transportation, storage linkages and coordination make all the components more effective. If an early childhood system has successfully raised the readiness of children in the community entering kindergarten, but there is no after school or summer programming once they begin school, some of the early gains may be lost. Our youngest children, the infants and toddlers, are particularly vulnerable when local programs and services are fragmented because their unmet needs may go unnoticed until they enter school after crucial years of growth and early brain development have passed. For this reason, the YEF Institute is a key partner in the National Collaborative for Infants and Toddlers, a collaborative effort funded by the Pritzker Children's Initiative that brings together policymakers, practitioners, and early childhood leaders from inside and outside state and local government. With support from national organizations like NLC, communities and states are creating and strengthening effective policies and programs and sharing what works to support the healthy development of infants and toddlers. As we attempt to reimagine or build back a better system for young children and families, we must consider the role of racism and equity in systems building work that no longer oppresses marginalized families and communities. It is important to understand the historical context of systematic racism in order to recognize the fractured relationship between communities of color and government. The history provides context for the mistrust that exists between the two. Now more than ever, municipal leaders have an opportunity to rebuild the broken trust between communities of color and local government. The reality is that across America, communities of color tend to have less access to government resources and less communal experience with government as a force for good. These differences result from our historical legacy of structures and policies that perpetuate differential outcomes based on race. Local elected officials and city staff must commit time and space to listen to the lived experiences of communities of color and intentionally consider these experiences in city decision-making processes. As you prepare to address racial tensions in your community, it is critical to approach them head-on. In NLC's conversations with several municipal leaders who experienced these situations firsthand, we have found 5 common values stand out: empathy, transparency, authenticity, partnerships and collaborations, and consistency. Municipal leaders are encouraged to embed these values in their municipality's response to crisis. It is important to note that leadership sets the tone, but these values should be carried by everyone in the municipality across the city who has any role in supporting families and community. By making changes to both policies and systems that focus on children and families with the greatest needs, including communities of color, municipal leaders can create a stronger foundation for economic vitality and improve outcomes for all residents while also using their resources more effectively. Finally, let's talk about the importance of right now in this moment in this nation. In the midst of this crisis, we have an opportunity to rebuild systems that work better for all children, youth, and families, and address the gaps and inequities in our systems. It is an opportunity to build resilience and improve the capacity of individuals, community, institutions, businesses, and systems within a city to survive, adapt, and grow, no matter what kinds of chronic stresses and acute shocks the system experiences. The Early Childhood Success Team at NLC, along with many programs areas across the Institute, we are looking to deepen our work with government partners to bolster existing strategies to support all residents and explore new opportunities in pursuit of recovery from the impact of COVID-19 and the social unrest on the human and social service infrastructure in American cities. There are 6 factors as we should consider as we do this work. The budget squeeze. More than 2,100 US cities are anticipating major budget shortfalls this year. Many are planning to slash programs and cut staff. Local leaders are faced with decreased revenues and have difficult decisions to make. In many instances, there have already been some service cuts and layoffs. Elected officials are combing through their budgets, looking to wring out more savings where they can. We must ensure that young children and family are top of mind in their decision-making process. The second factor, the impact of trauma. The adversity and challenges families and children face can have a negative impact throughout a child's lifetime. Adversity and toxic stress may result from traumatic experiences, including the loss of a loved one, violent experiences, poverty, and the inability to meet basic needs and security. For cities, experiences of adversity and toxic stress impact the well-being of the entire community and means increased costs and reduced in productivity. Third, lack of affordable quality childcare. We need to invest in childcare like we invest in other industries that we see as essential to the foundation of our communities. America is waking up to childcare as a major political issue. In most cities, both parents are in the workforce and it's an economic necessity for families to work. The cost and availability of families of childcare is a challenge. Local government officials and staff can support the development of adequate childcare resources to meet the needs of community by providing leadership, adopting supportive land use policies, and ensuring that these needs are considered in long-range planning, integrated with other community development activities. The importance of alignment across sectors is something that we also need to consider. Local early childhood systems are strengthened and early childhood outcomes improve when municipal government, community, and all sectors align efforts around a shared vision for young children. However, alignment within and across a city is not enough. Cities and communities are impacted by county, regional, state, and federal policies and practices. Alignment at every level of government is also critical for success. Families at the center. Nothing about them without them. Empowering parents as partners in solutions and civic engagement is critical. Listening, understanding the needs from their perspective, and provide services that work and are easy to navigate for families across the city are essential. And we must consider early childhood as part of infrastructure. One of the most important responsibilities of local government is maintaining and improving infrastructure that benefits all residents. Services to develop their human capital and future workforce, which is a key component of local infrastructure. Just like roads and public transportation, families need high quality early childhood services in order to be successful in their everyday lives. Finally, as we aim to build back, there are roles for municipal leaders to play. While cities and towns may not directly provide all or even most of the support parents need, municipal leaders are uniquely positioned to ensure that the community comes together to support families with young children. City leaders can play various influential roles. One of those roles is to use the bully pulpit. Elected officials can utilize a wide variety of venues, from council meetings to press interviews to roundtables to town halls, to emphasize the importance of the early years and make early learning a community priority. Engage new partners and convene stakeholders. City leaders have the clout to reach out to a wide variety of potential partners, from corporate CEOs to school officials to faith leaders, to encourage them to join efforts to support parents. In addition, local officials can bring existing programs together to assess community needs, better coordinate and publicize existing efforts, and plan new parent support activities. Community-wide social change requires more than just superficial collaboration or one-off programs and initiatives. Instead, it needs a change in the way a community, a city does business. As we talk about building better systems, I encourage you all to think about your colleagues at the city that you live in and how there are key resources as ways you work to achieve your goals and support key endeavors for children and families. You may start working with one city department, one council member, one member of the mayor's staff, and expand from there. As you all know, collaboration with other nonprofits and government agencies is a key part of our success in these endeavors. Local government has an important role in systems change, and it is uniquely positioned to be the driver of change in a very unique way. Our vision at NLC is that every city, town, and village have an equitable early learning system where all children reach their full potential, where families feel supported and can live safe and healthy lives. Thank you for the opportunity to share remarks with you today, and we stand with you in your endeavors to ensure that all kids are healthy, and that in this COVID environment and in this environment of unrest, that we all extend hands and work together to ensure that every kid has everything that they need to be successful in life. Thank you once again on behalf of the entire NLC staff. I am so happy to be able to share with you today. Thank you.